Yes.
I grew up in a Dutch Reformed culture where we still sing the Genevan tunes. We still do a lot of the monastic practices that you've brought out of Calvin. Yeah. We've appealed to Geneva for that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of our people don't want it anymore. They struggle to see why we should do it. My question to you is, how are you going to convince your people that they should do this? And what would I say?
We're Americans, you know. Some of us are, but and Americans just always want to do the new thing. So I won't have that much trouble because they haven't done it before. Since they haven't done it before, they'll say, "Oh, this is new." And of course, for Americans, it's new, so it's great. And your problem is it's not new, so it's terrible. See, so they may be Dutch, but they're Dutch Americans, so it's terrible. You're actually going to have to say, first of all, you ought to say that we're probably more formed by these we have probably been more formed by this than you think, that other places that don't use this, that there's a tendency to just pick up the spirit of the age. You have to make the case for why it continues to be a good thing. But the other thing is to add a couple things that they haven't seen before that are new, then they'll feel like, oh, this is cool. I know that's, you don't want to pander to that, but you do have to try to make some use. So by the way, this is also, James K.A. Smith, who's always talking about the importance of liturgical worship for formation, right? All of his books are saying, and he's right about this in general, that you're not changed simply by teaching people things, but by the imagination being captured and the affections of the heart being changed. And he's right. So he says liturgical worship. But the same thing, people are always saying to me, I was raised in a liturgical church, and it's not a magic bullet. And there are people in the liturgical church that say, I want something new. I've got one of my wife's siblings, partly because she was raised in a more traditional church, just doesn't want traditional worship at all. She feels much more liberated by more contemporary worship. So, I think you have to be careful. I don't think the formative practices are tied to one way of doing worship, even though I do think you have to take great care. Like I said, the Lord's Supper is very important. But you notice I didn't quite go with Jamie Smith on this. I didn't say it's got to be liturgical, because it depends on how liturgical. I would say change things up and make good in some ways so people do feel like we're moving forward, and make a good case for the parts that you're keeping. That's always good leadership. Good leadership says, here's what we're going to change, here's what we're going to keep, here's why we're going to keep it, here's why we're going to make a change. You have to make the case. So let's keep going here, just to get a couple more. That's a great question too.